Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our deep dive into the radical feminist philosophy that I've been researching for quite some time. I hope to offer some rebuttals, a different perspective, and to help men and women be able to identify when they're being presented with RadFem propaganda, and when you can talk to, when you get this information, talk to your youth about it, because it is a significant problem, I'd argue, that has started to plague America and is being taught in community colleges, and it's a very pervasive agenda. So it's good to break it down now. So one of the things I want to discuss that I wrote in my notes was RadFems contend patriarchy glorifies motherhood to trap women in domestic roles. So again, feminists will mock men who call their wife a ball and chain, which literally, if you're not familiar, the chain that used to be, I don't know if it was actually used in history, but I do know it's used in cartoons. It's a chain, and then at the end there's a big iron ball, so it's like really hard to drag, so you can't run away. So it literally traps the criminal. They're wearing a black and white striped jumpsuit. So feminists will be like, oh, look how these men talk about their wives as a ball and chain. Meanwhile, so they can't chase tail, get it? So they can't go after other women. And then, RadFems, what do? They imitate those bad men, and then decide, you know what? Let's take something so sacred and blissful and honorable and noble as motherhood and say that's a trap. Now, what is so significant about the word trap? If you've ever seen a mouse get stuck to the stick pad, like it's like a really sticky pad, they're struggling with their might to get off of it, and it's a slow death. And then as they die, ants come and different critters come to eat them. But they struggle and struggle and struggle and exhaust themselves, and then they have just a slow death. I remember my grandpa put one in the garage, and I would stare at it and watch it die, and just thought about how that creature was dying quite slowly in that trap. Whereas other traps, they have the old-fashioned kind, like you would see in Tom and Jerry, where it just completely snaps and then their neck is, busted up and they die. So a trap is something that you desperately want to get out of, and for your survival, you should get out of it. A trap is to, let someone harvest you. So fish in a net, it's a trap. We eat them. Yellow jackets, you put up that yellow cone. It's in your garden. You put it up, they go in, they die, they can't get out. It's to exterminate them. Traps are not really good for the creature that is going to be put in them. It either leads to their death or, no matter what, it's going to lead to their death. A pen is different than a trap. A sheep pen is a little fence, keep you in there, keep you safe. Chicken coop, you're cooped up in there, but you're safe from the foxes and coyotes, right? A trap is a very significant word, and it denotes anxiety, and you can see how nefarious it is to frame motherhood as a trap, because this really devalues what marriage is, the importance of the nuclear family, the role of the father, and domestic roles are not that bad. Oh, so what? You gotta vacuum? You gotta use a little Windex on the windows? You gotta put some Ajax on the tiles? You gotta wash your own dishes? Oh, you get to actually have food to cook? Well, literally, there are millions in the world starving to death, okay, who they don't know where their next meal is gonna come from. Literally skin and bones people all around the world, children innocent dying, but you're pissed that you have food available to eat, but you have to prepare it. You can't just be a glutton on your throne and, command platters to be presented to you like Belle in Beauty and the Beast, right? Be our guest, and all these little animated objects come and present to you a buffet. I've heard gold diggers, actually, these occultic RadFem gold diggers, I've heard them say, a lot of good positive things about how Belle, even though she married a beast, he later turns into Prince Charming, but she got the princess treatment. She didn't have to lift a finger. Everything was done for her. And, they really loved that. Be the guest. So that means everyone caters to you. You're the most special person in the room, and you can command anyone, and you got the man wrapped around your finger. It's absurd. And so domestic roles are not that bad. Sure, they can get tedious, but I was thinking about this last night. I was thinking, I wonder what the ancient Egyptian women did in their palaces, like, of the pharaohs. During the night, like, are they breastfeeding, or the milkmaids? Like, what are they doing to pass the time when you have to wake up to take care of the baby? Like, I get my tripod, and I put my phone on, and I watch, like, travel vlogs where it's, like, from the walking position. There's no talking. It's just someone walking with their, like, their tripod or their GoPro or whatever, showing you the landscape, and it's like you're traveling there, even though you're not there, and that helps keep me awake in the night so I don't fall asleep at the 1 and 4 a.m. feedings. And so you're like, hey, this is pretty cool because it makes it easier to do stuff. And even during the day feedings, I put the tripod up and I watched like a David Akuzada's. He's from Azerbaijan, but he speaks Turkish. And I watch his videos, and they're entertaining, or ASMR blogs, or news and politics. Makes it so much easier to get through any type of boredom, right? And so I try to think about my small pleasures in life that make things easier. The fact that I can go to the grocery store, the meat's already chopped, my man don't have to go out and hunt it, even though that would be delicious, have some nice venison. But you get my point. We have way more conveniences. I love thinking about my washer and dryer, even though everyone gets to use it. It's like it belongs to the property, right? But I mean, I put the soap in, I put the fabric softener, put the clothes in, pay, then come back and things are put in the dryer. Just the drying machine, how that cuts down on theft, cuts down on having your personal items blowing in the wind. And there's too many of us to really hang all our clothes and do it outside, even though some people still do it. But also birds crapping on it, it's just not a good thing to me, in my opinion. And the dryer gets it done in 45 minutes. Pretty good. Versus longer if you were to hang it outside on a cloudy gray day where things aren't really going to dry, or in the winter, So there's a lot of conveniences now. I mean, electricity. Think about that. Way easier. I don't got to go stoke a fire. I don't have to freeze to death. There's air conditioning. SubhanAllah. There's a lot of luxuries now that make domestic roles quite easy. And with dishwashing gloves, you put on a podcast or something, whatever you want to listen to while you wash the dishes, it goes by. And with the kids, I give paper plates during the day to have less of a pile up. So, things can be made easy. And I don't see why some women act like vacuuming. I mean, they now even have those little Roombas you can go around. I don't have that. I have a good vacuum, alhamdulillah. I got one that was for pet hair, so it's super strong, even though we don't have cats or dogs. But it's just, I like the way the engine, I guess you could call it, on those really gets the carpet looking nice, and we vacuum every day. So I don't really see, what's the problem here. You want to have a clean environment. Even if you live alone, you still got to do those chores. And people act like men are super messy. I don't think so. I mean, maybe some men are, if you've allowed them to kind of be undomesticated. But I've never really met a man who was super filthy. Like, what does he do? Stand up and dump his rice on the floor? Like, does he just go to the bathroom and get poop all over the seat. Like, I don't really, and that would show what type of man you attracted and what type of man you accepted and what type of man you bred with. Right? So I don't really, like, it's strange. If you attracted that low quality of a man and you didn't pick a better man, you're accountable for that. That's your fault. So I don't really understand why domestic roles are seen as this sort of nightmare thing when in reality we have so many modern conveniences. I mean, put some incense on, some scented candles, have a little aromatherapy, make your nest. It ain't that bad. I don't, the RadFems make it sound like you're trapped in a domestic role. You have to vacuum. Dun, dun, dun. Plot twist. Even if you're single, you're going to have to do that yourself. And some women, they do want to have that dream of, hey, I want a maid and a chef. But there comes a point where you think to yourself, do you want that many strangers in your house? I don't know about that. And then how many maids steal or gossip or look through your things? I don't know about that, right? So, again, the patriarchy for them uses motherhood to trap women in these domestic roles. I mean, working on a farm is way harder, I'd argue, and you have to, cull chickens, clean out the chicken coop. Like, if you're on a homestead, that's much harder, but at the same time, you have kids, they help you, but you're also outside, you're getting, like, the most wholesome food. You gotta do something all day. I don't see what these women do a lot of the times. I've watched a couple of their channels and followed up on a couple of their pages, and it's like you want to sit in front of the mirror doing your makeup like a drag queen, wearing wigs or, horsing around with different, like, oh, I got another eyelash set, and then, oh, look at this, I got my nails done, and they're like super long claws that are not functional. I mean, sitting down and then doing your makeup and then playing dress up with your closet that's overflowing with clothes. It just, and like you got so many bottles of perfume at a certain point. What is the purpose of walking around shopping all the time? I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, because there's no stimulation in that. Like, they're shopaholics, and it just ends up in the landfill. Fast fashion causes so much pollution. There's been a lot of documentaries on how fast fashion really, ends up in the ocean. The microfiber plastics they use in the clothing, it's just so unhealthy. And the garment industry in India, how they really suffer, how that's growing in Bangladesh and Pakistan. These women who are making these cheap clothes, they got their kids on the floor. It's really quite sad. So, if you're not doing something domestically in your home? What are you going to be out doing? Just out, like, they have this fantasy in their head that they're just going to be they're the main character whenever they walk in the room. They think that, like, they're some sort of movie star. Like, they're in this alternate reality where they're showstoppers and everyone cares what their nail polish looks like. Everyone cares what their shoes are. And if you're around that many judgmental vultures and you're trying to appease those carry-ons, I don't think that that's very sustainable spiritually. If you're always constantly self-checking to the point where it becomes neurotic because you don't want anyone to look at you and not think you're up to date in fashion, and that you don't always look your best, I think that you become very neurotic, unhealthy, and self-loathing. And so it's better to do things at home, like the Cinderella. They don't like Cinderella. Now, Cinderella was run ragged by her mom and stepsisters and cleaning and doing stuff, and they think, oh, well, as soon as you start doing the Cinderella mode, your man loses attraction to you. But at the same time, there's plenty of examples where men had really attractive wives and they still cheated, That's always blown my mind, like, especially when they cheat with a woman who's uglier, and you're like, that's wild. That's crazy. This guy had a really beautiful wife, and he cheated, and it comes down to men like variety, and things get stale, and then you realize the wisdom of polygamy, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made polygamy halal. You have to treat them fairly, or otherwise you're going to show up on judgment day, you know, leaning over, right? Like, you're not going to come up all straight, going to be crooked. So you have to do it right. But women will say it takes a village, but then they don't want to make that tribe. And a man can make his own tribal village with polygamy if you can get along with the other women and not just be a freaking out type of woman who's clawing at everyone. But I digress. The point is that domestic roles in 2025 are not that bad, especially if you just live in an apartment. What is there so much to do? You know, you go, okay, wash the bed sheets. Okay, you gotta use a little Windex. So clean the bathroom. That stuff gets over pretty quickly. When your children get older, you're gonna assign them chores. I mean, you're a moron if you just let your kids sit and watch Netflix and stuff their face with snacks, and then they don't help you out at all. And what are they just? I don't get it. What are they doing? I don't know. It's strange how everything is always doom and gloom with the RadFems. Like, everything's a trap. Everything's nefarious. Men are always out to get women. It's quite absurd. Let me know what you think. Do you think domestic roles trap women? Do you think that the patriarchy uses motherhood in a nefarious way? I'd be quite curious to see what you say. Let me know. Please like. Oops, I dropped my pen. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. Join the vlog.